sure that we are live everywhere. Let me see if I can. Now these should be the links that I already sent out. I'm just gonna test one of them to make sure, Rocky. And just doing a real test, guys. I'm gonna do a Facebook Live as well. Okay. It's spinning, it's spinning, it's spinning, it's spinning. Okay, yes, we are live. Okay. Okay, so that's the test, Rocky. So now, all right, let me get rid of these windows. All right, folks, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Tim Black late at night. We had a little system issues, but we got it, we got it resolved. We overcame it. That shows the tenacity of both myself and Rocky de la Fuente, who is my guest today. Rocky de la Fuente, folks, let me just tell you, he is more than just a presidential candidate. He's a very successful businessman. He's an entrepreneur. He's a fighter. He's a soldier. He pulled himself up literally working odd jobs. He started off at 9 years old. He was selling creepy crawlers. And he was making money doing it. He's an entrepreneur by birth. This guy just has the entrepreneurial backbone. At 11 years old, he was selling his friends' mothers Christmas cards and cards of that nature, gift cards. Can you believe he made $4,000 a month doing that? I can't make $4,000 a month doing anything right now. So I'm embarrassed. But hey, I'm surrounded by good people. So, ladies and gentlemen, no further ado, I'll give you Rocky de la Fuente, Democratic president candidate in the 2016 elections. Hey, Rocky, how you doing?
Hello, Tim. It's a pleasure. And then we were able to overcome all the high-tech, what millennials can do in 10 seconds. It took us about 45 minutes.
You're right. It's bad. My age is showing, Rocky, that when you put it that way. But look, thank you so much. What time is it where you are, Rocky? Rocky, you're in California, right?
3 hours before you.
Okay. Well, look, thank you so much once again for taking time out to do this. Rocky, I just want to cut to it because we're so late. I'm going to say this, man. What made you want to run for the worst job in the country, which is president?
I don't think it's the worst job. Number one, I think I should be proud as an American for it to be able to be honored by the American people to do that job. But more importantly, is America needs a leader. The world needs a leader, and and I was minding my own business. I had a beautiful private life, and then I saw how Mr. Trump insulted every man, woman, and child. Mr. Trump then insulted all the Muslims. Then he insulted a presidential candidate, Miss Fiorina. And I said, I didn't hear you. Maybe you did, maybe you did not, but I did not hear you or any Hispanic leader or Black leader or anybody go out and basically defend us. And and I was really upset that he was getting away with murder. And then I said, I got the time, I got the energy, and I think he can get a little bit dose of his own medicine.
I love the idea, man. I love it. So you were moved to do this by the environment, about what you saw going on. What about on the Democratic side? Did that motivate you to get involved as well?
Yes, I did. I basically saw, you saw the movie Dumb and Dumber, right?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, well, I did not know who was dumb or who was dumber, if it was Hillary or Trump. I wonder.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I mean, we're dealing now with it now. All full disclosure. I'm a Bernie Sanders supporter, but I'm open to other ideas. And like I say, to my understanding, he was the best candidate running. But I've been looking at your background. I've been looking at what your platform is. I took some time and I realized that you have some pretty good ideas, particularly those on education, that are very interesting. What is this 1-to-1 ratio? I saw your idea. Could you explain a little bit about education?
Yes. Well, first of all, that's one of the things that I agree with Bernie 100%. I believe that education should be free for everybody, and we should have the best education in the world. Now, there's two types of education. The first one is basically when you're looking at basically brick and mortar. Brick and mortar is when you go to school, you go to a campus. And the other one is you have quality education, which you might be able to get it in the internet. I would like to create the most successful internet university in the world. Let's say you have Einstein, okay, and he happens to be the best mathematic or the best physics. Well, he will become the teacher. Let's say we talk about broadcasting. Maybe it's you, okay? So what we basically do is we pick the best teachers in the world, and regardless if they're Americans, if they're Japanese, if they're Jewish, if they're Muslims. We pick the best teachers to be able to teach the world. And anybody can access it, not only in the United States, but in the whole world. We need to make a more intelligent world. In that we can do it today with technology, and that's the internet. Now, at the same token, we need to have the experience in school. We need to have the bullies. We need to have the puppets. We need to have the teachers. We need to have the jokes. And we need to be able to learn what it is to run for school president. We need to have all that beautiful school experience, because if you do not learn it at age 15, 17, 18, 22, 24, it's too difficult to learn at age 40.
I would agree. So you're saying become socialized. Like we need to become socialized by interacting with other people in the real world, not just online.
That's correct. So basically, my is a two-pronged system. Number one, I would like to have both of them and completely free. In a few words, right now we do not have enough brick and mortar. Right now, I have a 17-year-old daughter. I actually have 3 daughters, but my 17-year-old is now trying to get accepted in university. It is one of the most stressful things I have seen that young lady go through. And more importantly is, at least in my case, based on the hard work of my mother, my father, and myself, I do not have to worry about the economic part. But right now, it's not a matter of the money. Now it's a matter is, will she get accepted into a good university? In my old days, if you had 3.6 average, you were a good guy. Okay. Yeah. Now you need 4.2, 4.4. I says, how did you manage to get over 4? It's ridiculous. Because let's understand. Let's take somebody. It's a minority. Somebody from your end, from my end, either end. Where are we going to get extra credits to get to 4.4? We have to work. I mean, it's ridiculous. Okay, right. So the whole system is completely backwards. So as far as and by the way, based on the candidates that were out there, I think you make the good choice. I think Bernie is a good candidate. In many of the subjects, I happen to agree with him 100%. I don't agree in all of them because right. I do not believe we can afford all of them. Okay? But if money was not an object, I would probably agree with all of them. But when you have to balance, and you have to balance the 19 trillion with the economy, with the jobs, then that's where Bernie and I are a little bit apart. But on education, I'm 100% there. On our vets, I'm 100% there. On Social Security, I'm 100% there. On Obamacare, we need to reinvent Obamacare. The concept is the concept is perfect. The only difference is that I believe that when it was started, it had the right ingredients, but after Congress got a hold of it, it's no different than cooking. Does your mother like to cook?
Actually, my mom's not a good cook. I'm a good cook though, Rocky. So keep going. Okay.
Well, if you have too many cooks and you put too many ingredients, it ain't gonna come out. It ain't gonna come good.
Right. A muddled mess.
The other issue that I do not know how much you know about me, but I believe that our generation is destroying the environment for future generations. And there's some good news to report. Right now, there's a new thing which is called linoleic acid, which will no longer make the world dependent on fossil fuels. So I'm agree with Bernie on the environment, 100%. So if you wanted to pick 2 items that I agree with him, is education and environment.
Okay, well, that's fair enough. I mean, those are very important, platforms to see agreement on, because those are definitely very dear to my heart. I think if you don't get the environment right, you can't call yourself a humanitarian, because if we don't have a planet to live on, what good does the rest of this do? So,
Let me interrupt you for a second. There's
Sure.
another one that I believe that Bernie agrees with me.
What's that?
I basically asked for the resignation of Debbie Wasserman Schultz on the 16th of February. I put a video in, and I believe that she's destroying our party like nobody else.
Why do you think? Yeah. Let's get into that, Rocky. What is it about Debbie that really? I saw your video, and I was like, okay, I love this guy. But besides my, I don't want. I just want to say, like, what is it with you what struck a chord with you regarding Debbie? What is it?
First of all, I believe that she did probably a good job when she was Hillary's campaign chair. When she was elected the DNC chair, I think she needs to understand she was wearing a different hat, complete different hat.
Right.
And she, I don't think she understood that she went from one chair to a different chair. I think she believes her mission in life is to elect Hillary Queen. Okay.
Right.
And I don't agree with that.
So you're saying that her actions are not equal to all people that are running. I mean, I'm wondering because I saw you on the ballot in Maryland. I'm in Maryland, and I saw Rocky2016. I'm like, Rocky, who is this guy? I had no idea who you were. But my understanding is you were able to get on more ballots than my mayor, or I should say my former governor, Martin O'Malley. I got to ask, how did you do that, Rocky? How did you overcome all the impediments in order to get on those ballots? Like 20 ballots, right?
No. How about 46?
46 ballots.
Yes.
I wish I had my applause button. I would hit it. I'd like to know how you were able to accomplish that.
Well, first of all, let me tell you something. There's states that we can discuss the states, but for example, there's two states that I was treated very fairly. That was Alaska, and that was in a territory with American Samoa. Basically, I was treated with respect and love in Alaska, and I was treated with love and respect in Western Samoa. Both of them happen to be caucus states, and I can report to you that both Alaska and American Samoa, they did not play any games. Those are real numbers, real people, real everything. At the same token, I can report to you that the worst state in the union happens to be the Secretary of State from Oregon. Oregon, she's a complete disaster, okay? Followed by New Mexico and followed by Arizona. Now, I also got treated very bad in Georgia, okay, in Tennessee, and in Florida. But at the same token, let's talk about the positive. The best system in the world, the best state in the United States, believe it or not, is New Hampshire. New Hampshire has the simple place to put on the ballot. $1,000, and you've been able to write an X. If you can do an X and $1,000, you are in New Hampshire. It's that simple. Texas is $3,500 and a lot of paperwork.
Hold on a second, Rocky. So you're telling me different states have different criteria in order to get on the ballot. See, most people aren't aware of that. So what? I don't understand. So
let me give you the ABC if you have a few minutes.
Please.
Okay. The first state that you have to qualify is called Alabama. Alabama has the same rules for every single candidate. It's the first state, and if you take a look at the letters, Alabama, it's actually alphabetically, it's the first one in America. Okay? So Alabama requires 500 signatures. You have 10 days to obtain them, and you have to do, just like Bernie, a grassroots campaign. So I was out there on the pavement. I had no help from anybody except for some friends and some people from Alabama, from Livingston, and I was able to get about 700 signatures. And I qualify in Alabama, and in Alabama, we qualify 5 people in Alabama. Bernie, Hillary, O'Malley, myself, and somebody local from Alabama. Okay. Second state was Arkansas. In Arkansas, we qualified 5. O'Malley, Bernie, Hillary, myself, and somebody local from Arkansas. Then it was New Hampshire. New Hampshire, we qualified 28 Democrats and 28 Republicans.
Wow. Okay. So, sounds like some people just run in New Hampshire.
Well, it's imagine for $1,000, you can say you were a presidential candidate.
Gotcha.
So next time, I'll tell you what, I will put $500. You put the other 500, and we'll run you in New Hampshire.
Okay. I'll probably get as much votes as Lincoln Chafee, but anyway.
But wait a minute. It's trust me, with your personality and that smile, you'll do well.
Well, thank you, Rocky. I appreciate it, man. Wow.
But then we get to Arizona. Arizona is one of the most difficult states to qualify. In Arizona, the rules are so complex that you need 10 lawyers, 10 days just to figure them out. And it says that if you were able to qualify in Alabama and Arkansas, you get in for free in Arizona. So if you were not able to figure out Alabama and Arkansas, you're not welcome in Arizona.
Let's talk about Arizona, because we're here. In my so many people in my community are still raw over the deal that we got in Arizona. How did they treat you as far as how you placed in Arizona? Did your numbers get screwed up in Arizona?
I was the first candidate to notice what happened wrong. It started in Iowa. In Iowa, they took me out of the ballot. They took me out of the caucus. 3 days before the election in Iowa, I had basically worked over 90 days in Iowa. My objective was to come in third in Iowa. Sanders, Hillary, and then myself.
Right.
And my whole objective was to beat O'Malley. Now, I did accomplish that. And the reason I accomplished that is because O'Malley dropped out that day. So I did come in third in Iowa, but not the way I wanted. I wanted to come in third by getting some delegates. I want to come third by basically making a stand. 3 days before the election, they put me as other. Then when you went to the caucus, the other corner did not exist. So they erased me from Iowa against party rules and against any and all odds. Then I make it to New Hampshire. So in New Hampshire, my goal was to come in third. And there were 28 candidates. At 40% reporting, I was solid third, beating O'Malley 3-1 and beating every Democratic candidate combined except for the top two. And then the magic happened. I got reduced from 851 votes to 54. They eliminated 800 votes from me in a split second. And the same thing happened all night long. So I estimate that I got in New Hampshire over 3,000 votes. At the end of the day, they showed me only with 95. So they stole over 3,000 votes to me in New Hampshire. Then we had Nevada. Nevada was even worse. In Nevada, they hid all the caucus. Nobody knew where the caucuses were. I had 10 professionals looking for where to vote. They did it at 11 o'clock on a Saturday when all the workers were working at the hotels. And you need to at least have 3 to 4 hours to caucus. So who's going to caucus at 11 o'clock on a Saturday? That is the most ridiculous thing ever. Then, of course, we had South Carolina. South Carolina was the first state that I was not allowed to participate. So there, it had not a matter of petitions or nothing. I did not allow. But let me tell you about what did happen. Ohio. Ohio plays 100% by the rules. On Ohio, you require 1,000 signatures for Hillary, for Sanders, and for myself, and for O'Malley. Well, Hillary qualified. O'Malley, of course, qualified. So did I. And to everybody's surprise, O'Malley was not able to get the signatures. So Ohio, there were only 3 candidates: Sanders, Hillary, and myself. That's well. Go read about it in Google.
Why didn't I see you on the debate stage if that's the case?
The debates is by invitation only. By invitation only, by the DNC, by Debbie Wasserman Schultz. So at that particular stage, she did not want to have anything to do with me. For why? The why is the most important.
Yes, why?
Let's assume for conversation's sake, there's another black candidate Democrat. I don't know if you know, his name is Willie Wilson.
Okay.
Willie Wilson is from, okay, he qualified in 3 states or 4, okay? And he's a very nice candidate, very nice person. But if I was on the ballot, what would happen? Hillary needs to be able to beat Sanders. She needs the black vote and she needs the Hispanic vote. So if I take the black vote or the Hispanic vote or a small share of it, okay, then Sanders will beat her in every single state. So you have to take a look at this in the macro, macro economy. You need to take a look at the big picture. The big picture is that Debbie Wasserman Schultz is committing border fraud, election fraud, in every conceivable way she can think of. She started in Iowa, she continued in New Hampshire, then she continued in Nevada. But what happened is she thought I was going to go away after 3-4 states. And she thought she would only have to do fraud for 3-4 times. Now she had to do fraud in every single state, in every single caucus. And then eventually she saw Bernie basically coming with momentum. And then she committed the same border fraud or election fraud in Kentucky. In Kentucky, she nailed Kentucky. Bernie won that by a landslide. And Mrs. Schultz made sure that he did not. At the same token, the same thing happens everywhere else. In a few words, Bernie just got some medicine of what it was happening to me in Kentucky. Now, they did the same election fraud in Arizona. In Arizona, they had over 200 stations to vote 4 years ago. This merry-go-round, they only had 60.
Right. I reported on that.
The lines were 200, 500, 1,000 people. They were 5, 6, 7-hour lines. The lady from the Secretary of State or election of whatever her name is.
Board of Elections, right.
They said to her, why is this happening?
Right.
You cannot believe what she said.
I remember. It's crazy. Go right ahead, Rocky.
She said, why would the voters stand in line?
Whose fault is it? Right.
Huh?
It's their fault because they stood in line. Right.
That is ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
Imagine us trying to vote for somebody that can lead our country into the next, how do you call it, for generations to come.
Right. But Rocky, I got to ask you, when you say that they stole votes from you or that they rigged the votes, what do you mean specifically? What did they specifically do to take votes away from you?
Let me tell you something. There's something that's called verify votes. Okay. And it tells you in every single. And if that's not the correct, I'll get you the right page. But it tells you, for example, in every single county, if it's done electronically, if it's done by paper ballot, and if it's done electronically, by what system? Is it done by company A, company B, or company C? Okay, so the United States government has hired all these companies to be able to do electronic accounting. And there's professional hackers, 10 times better than you and I, that would have been able to accomplish what you and I did in 1 minute versus 45. Okay?
Right.
So what happened in New Hampshire is as follows. At 40% of the ballots counted, I showed 851 votes. They did not want that. Why? I was beating O'Malley 3-1. I was beating every single Democrat except for Hillary and Sanders. The sum of all of them. So their position is, wait a minute, if the world hears about this, they're going to hear that there's a third person, and if we go to the debate, maybe they don't want to hear about Hillary, and they just want to hear about Bernie and myself.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the media would pick up on it. So basically, Debbie Wasserman Schultz and her cronies decided to basically put a program in place to eliminate me after the ballots were counted. And she reduced me from 851 to 54. And they did that all night long, and eventually I ended up with only 95 votes. But at 95 votes, I still came in 7th. So it's now let me tell you something that's even more bizarre. Do you know where Travis County is?
No idea.
Okay, Travis County is in Texas, and it's happened to be the main city is Austin. I worked my buns off down there. And when the numbers came in at 13% reporting, I believe it was 13, maybe 20%. At 20% reporting, I showed 8,222 votes.
Wow.
Okay.
Impressive.
2 minutes later, I was reduced to 38. Okay. Now, I ended up finishing in Texas. Let me give you some interesting statistics about Texas. In Texas, I ended up eventually, the ones that they actually count on my name, is about a little bit shy of 8,500. I should have gotten in Texas close to 80,000 votes. So they basically stole in Texas 72,000 votes, at least. Now, with my 8,500 votes, would you like to know what I accomplished?
Please tell me.
I want to read this because there's too many names. I was able to beat O'Malley, Wilson, Judd, Hawks, Locke, Paul, Huckabee, Gray, Christie, Florina, Santorum, and Graham. Overall, I had more votes than any one of them individually. Now, here's what's more impressive. I received, in many counties, more votes. In 9 counties, I beat Cruz. I beat Cruz in 9 counties in Texas with the votes they gave me. I was able to beat Trump in 12. I was able to beat Rubio in 13. I beat Carlson in 18. In Kasich in 21. Now, the next number is even more impressive. With the votes, the 8,451, I received in specific counties, in exactly 5 counties, more votes than every single Republican combined. Every single one of them. Trump, Kasich, Cruz, Rubio, etc. Now, don't you think that would make worldwide news?
I would think so.
And that's with the votes that I got. Now, imagine if I would have gotten 80,000.
Wouldn't have been able to keep that too quiet, I assume.
They would not. The same thing they did it to me in North Carolina. In North Carolina, with 13% reporting, that's where the 13% comes. With 13% reporting, I had over 4,000 votes. Well, guess what happened 1 minute later? I was reduced to 900 votes. Okay, so I can show you this happening in over 1,000 counties, over 20 states. And once I figured out what they were doing in New Hampshire, I knew that I only had 10 seconds to 12 seconds to take a snapshot of what they were doing. Because you can go to political.com and see the end result of what happened in the states. But you do not know what happened from the beginning of when the precincts were counting through the process.
Right.
So I have a complete history, which if you go to my Facebook, I believe that if something happens to me, and let me tell you what I mean by that, I believe that something can happen to me like what happened to Lincoln or what happened to Kennedy. Okay? And if it happens to me, something that you hear there was an accident on the plane or there was accident in the car or whatever hypothetical happens, the intellectual person is Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
Got it.
Okay, so if something happens to me, please make sure that my life did not get wasted away. Because she will be 100% the intellectual party. I should qualify today for Secret Service. I have all the qualifications to qualify for Secret Service, with one exception. I need to have 5% of the vote in 2 different states. Okay, guess what? I've done that in about 10 different states, but they keep stealing my votes.
I don't know how you stay quiet about this. Why hasn't the media picked up on this? Let's look at the media side of this, Rocky. Have you talked to, I don't know, CNN? Have they reached out to you? MSNBC,
Okay.
mainstream.
Let me tell you the good news. Okay. First of all, I want to thank you, Tim, for giving me this opportunity. This is how we're able to tell a story, one day at a time, 1 hour at a time. If you go to Google and you put my name, Rocky de la Fuente, after you put Rocky and the word DE in all the servers, I automatically show up. If you take a look, I got over 450,000 articles, news, something to do with me. If you hit news, I got over 17,600 one-on-one in the last 5 months. 17,600. Now, let me put that in perspective. If I had to put a price to those articles, it would have a price of approximately $300 to $400 million. But what does that do? Hillary has received $8 billion worth of press. Sanders has received over $8 billion worth of press. Trump and Cruz have received over $8 billion worth of press. So my 300 is just a small potato compared to those 4 candidates.
True.
But even then, take a look what I accomplished. Today, there's 4 people standing. And let's put that in perspective. February 1st, Sanders, Hillary, and myself. Today, Sanders, Hillary, and myself. The same 3 that were there on Iowa, we're still here today. But what happened on the Republican side? February 1st, there were 19 candidates.
Right.
Today, there's basically the one that I jumped in the race to stop. I will take anybody but Trump. Anybody. The guy is a menace. The guy, in my mind, reminds me of 1941.
Hitler.
And you know what happened in 1941.
Oh, you're referring to Hitler, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
I believe that he might be worse than him. Now that's quite a statement coming from me.
Yeah, it is. I mean, Rocky, he's a real estate guy like you. He's a successful businessman. Do you believe maybe that this guy, Donald Trump, is just blowing smoke?
Let me ask you a question.
Please.
You need to study. Don't tell me what you're going to do. Tell me what you've done. Tell me where he got his background. Find out what his father did.
Right.
His father was, what I have heard through my sources, very well found sources, is that he was basically building crosses for the Ku Klux Klan. Okay, so if you happen to have a father like Mr. Trump's father that happened to have that background and that hatred,
right,
he passed that hatred through his son. Now, Mr. Trump basically sells names. He builds and he puts his name on it. He built a project in Rosarito, Mexico, and everybody lost every single they invested. And he said, "That's not my project. I just gave my name." He did the same thing in other parts of Mexico, and he did the same thing in DR. So he basically gets paid to put a franchise, i.e. McDonald's, i.e. Jack in the Box. And people think that it's going to be a successful project. Well, there's very unsuccessful projects. Bernie said a comment, not that in the last 2 weeks, that he does not believe that he's worth what he says he's worth. I've been saying that for the last 4 months. Because he is something called blue sky. Blue sky is goodwill. And Mr. Trump values $8 billion, his goodwill, his name. Now, let's talk about that one for a second. Let's say that you happen to live in Trump Tower. And now all of a sudden, people don't want to live in Trump Tower anymore because of his hatred to the human race. What do you think is going to happen when people are trying to bail out on building in all those buildings that happen to have the Trump name? And it's going to be an avalanche. So my recommendation to anybody that happens to be in one of the Trump towers, get out while the getting is good.
Get out while you can.
Yeah.
Get out while you can.
Right.
Have you I don't know exactly where to go with this. I mean, Rocky, I'm hearing what you're saying. You're saying votes were disappearing. You're saying you were being disenfranchised by the DNC. Do you understand?
But the same thing happened to Bernie in Kentucky.
Right.
Take a look what all you need to do is go to political.com and look county by county by county. Bernie was limited to 52% of the votes. If you take a look, I can show it to you because one of my fortes happens to be math. Okay. And I saw the numbers in Kentucky. They basically stopped Bernie from getting more than 52% in the majority of the counties in Kentucky. And in the major city, in the major county, Jefferson, they killed him. Here you have a Jefferson County, which happens to have a huge college crowd, a huge millennium, which happens to be his background.
Right.
And he lost to Hillary by a huge margin. I mean, folks, give me a break.
Right.
And if it wasn't for that, he would have won Kentucky, and he would have been on a weakening streak, on a streak that he could not lose.
Right.
And then, of course, he won Oregon. They had to break him in Kentucky. Now, let me give you, I don't know if I should say this, but let me tell you the good news. The good news is prior to Kentucky, I was public enemy number one for Debbie Wasserman Schultz. In Kentucky, he focused on Bernie.
She switched it up.
Yeah, so I'm happy that somebody else is taking a little bit of my pain and suffering.
Well, you know what, Rocky? I'm going to ask you this, man, because folks, if you don't know, Rocky, he is a Mexican American, and he was raised here. He was born in San Diego, if I'm correct. Is that correct, Rocky?
Mercy Hospital.
Mercy Hospital.
I'm one of the, when you see anybody from San Diego, I'm probably one of the very few natives.
I gotcha. My question is this, Rocky. Does it bother you that so many Latino, Mexicans, Latinos, Hispanics folks are voting for Hillary? Because I know I get asked that question all the time when black folks vote for Hillary. I'm just wondering how you feel about that.
It's the first of all is if people have the right to vote for whoever they want to.
True.
People should be more informed. But if the media the media plays a huge game. You happen to have a Hispanic channel, Univision. Univision was owned by Latins 9-10 years ago. The Hillary and her cronies made sure that was not owned by Hispanics. And they orchestrated, they forced the sale, and they sold 84% of Univision to a person that happens to be from Egypt. That person by himself has donated over $40 million to Hillary's camp. Now, how can that person tell the Hispanics what the views are for what are the Hispanics' issues?
Right.
Okay, folks, that's wrong. How dare they give the #1 television network to an Egyptian that does not speak Spanish? Most Hispanic happen to be Catholic. Most Hispanics were raised Catholic. 95% of all Mexico is Roman Catholic, and so am I. Nothing wrong with this gentleman, but this gentleman happened to be Jewish. And by the way, I have a lot of very good Jewish friends. What would a Jewish Egyptian be doing owning the most powerful media in America that is Hispanic?
Right.
One reason and one reason only. They decided 8 years ago that they needed the Hispanic and the black vote, and this was the way they were going to get it. They were going to basically sugarcoat it for us.
Got it.
Now, maybe if something happens to me besides Debbie, the owner of Univision might be
Right. I noticed when we started tweeting one another, I gained a lot of Hispanic followers on Twitter. So you're very popular with the Latino community, Rocky.
Well, let me tell you, and we started 50 minutes late. Now, when I came up with my story on February 16th about Debbie Wasserman Schultz, you're not going to believe what happened. I got over 450,000 followers on Facebook.
Wow. 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 You know what? I believe it because people are thirsting for the truth, Rocky. And as long as you give the truth, that's the key ingredient. It's dangerous, but it will attract people.
Okay, I'm using the iPad from Daniela, and I'm down to 9% battery. So we need to
wrap it up.
Figure out. No, I don't want to wrap it up.
Okay.
I just need to figure out a way to juice it up.
Well, yeah, you're the entrepreneur. Come up with something, Rocky.
Well, I'll tell you what. We tried my Apple computer, and there was something wrong with your mic. Then we started with the small little the other one, and now we're basically at the iPad. I mean, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to be doing it by our iPhone.
But you know what? I bet you the sound problem was me. I'll fall on the sword on that because it should have worked. If it didn't, I think maybe if you go back to the laptop, you'll probably be just fine.
But let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
How about if I get a rain check?
Of course. I would have it no other way. I mean, I'd love to have you back anytime you can make time, man. I do a show twice a day, Monday through Friday, Rocky.
Do they pay you enough?
I'm an entrepreneur like you, Rocky. I pay myself, and it's not a lot. Every dollar goes back in the business. You know the deal.
Well, I'll tell you what, you're a very interesting individual, and I congratulate you for what you're doing. It's we need to bring our democracy back, and it's and I have across a lot of Bernie supporters all over the states, and the people love him for what he stands, and more importantly, is they can't stand Hillary. That's
true. That's what unites us. But Rocky, before you go, man, tell everyone how to reach you because this video would be put a lot of places. So how can they reach you? What are your contact information for the people?
Well, first of all, you go to Google and you put Rocky2016.com. That's my page. And let me tell you something about the page. I was able to beat Trump. Trump got 2 Fs. Hillary got 2 Fs. I got 3 As. My page got the #1 rating of all the political pages in the United States. Now, that was done by the Bureau of Internet Accessibility.
Wow.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So it's Rocky2016.com, and that's one of my sources that people are following me because they could not believe that my page is so well done. And of course, I do not take credit. My staff, my people, the hard worker people is the one that did it.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So you go to Rocky2016. Now, in case you're Hispanic, you can use my Hispanic name, Roque. So Roque2016 still takes you to the same page. It's in Spanish and in English. So it's and it's very easy accessible. Once you're there, you can then go to Facebook. You can go to my Facebook. You can go to my Twitter. Facebook, I've been limited to 160,000 followers.
Limited to 160,000. You stop bragging, Rocky. I got 12,000. I have 16,000 followers. Stop bragging, Rocky.
No, wait. According to my estimation, I should have twice as much.
Oh, now they're cutting your Facebook followers too? Come on, man. That'd be awesome.
Wait. Hey, Tim, we just met. One of these days, you'll begin to trust me. And you'll see that I don't exaggerate, and I'm very trying to be as accurate as I can.
Wow, so you're serious? You think? You know what? I reserve judgment, Rocky, because I know what power does. I know power has a way of making things happen.
Well, on Twitter, I got as high as 300,000, and today I'm hovering around 250,000. 250,000 tweeters. So
you're a very popular
right now,
guy.
Well, no. I'm not the popular guy. America needs help. America needs leadership. America is dying for leadership. And that's what it needs to happen. So what I'm trying to share with you is that I'm saying to you, don't do this for Bernie. Don't do this for me. Do it for America, because they're the ones that need the help. Now, I would like to share one more thing to you. If you allow me, it will take me about 3 minutes. It's a sad story, but it's something that needs to be heard. Are you ready?
Go right ahead, Rocky.
I want to get closer to the power source because I'm down to 4 minutes. So let me see that. Okay, let's figure this out. If you see me changing, I am. Okay, we're connected, so we can stay for another half hour. Okay?
No problem.
Okay. I was in Yuma, Arizona before the election. And of course, no different than you, I went to pump my own gasoline. Versus Hillary has not driven a car for 20 years. She hasn't had a key to a home or an apartment for 20 years. Well, I get to open my key and I get to drive my own car and I get to pump my own gas. But anyway, while I was at the gas station, somebody recognized me. I was so happy. And this Mexican, Hispanic, Mexican-American couple, where they were 2 9-year-olds, their daughter and their niece. And her niece's name is Renata. And they said, Renata, this gentleman is a Hispanic and he speaks perfect Spanish and he's running for president of the United States. The next thing that happened is everybody got their iPhone or their Android and they start taking photographs. All of a sudden, Renata started crying. And I said, what did I do? Why is Renata crying? And the uncle says, listen her out. He says, Renata, why are you crying? He says, my grandparents live in Sonora, Mexico. And there's this big, bad man that wants to build this huge wall. And I'm not going to be able to see my grandparents again. I'm not going to be able to go visit them because of the wall. And they're not going to be able to visit me because of the wall. So then I said, Renata, your grandparents can come in, not through the wall, but through the port of entry. I am positive they would have a visa to come and visit you. And you would be able to go visit them. He says, that's what my parents tell me. That's what my uncle tells me. And they reassure me that that's the case. But in school, 99% of the kids, that's all they talk about. They will not be allowed to see their grandparents and their family. So who gives Mr. Trump the right, and this is the first time I mention his name and the last today, who gives him the right to torment our future generations? Who gives him the right to basically to get all the minorities all over? Now take a look at all the people that are from all over the place. There's a lot of people that come from Africa, from Ethiopia. There's people coming from the Philippines, people coming from China, people coming from Honduras, Guatemala. Okay, there's a lot of people coming from a lot of different countries. I don't think anybody has done the math of what happens to 12 million people that he wants to deport. The last time somebody attempted to do that was in Germany, and all they took him is in train from Germany to Austria. And you already know what happened, what was the outcome. Now let me show you the math. By the way, finishing the story with Renata, that needs to be communicated, that nobody has the right, especially when they're looking for leadership, to be able to torment our children, right, the future of this country. Now, let's talk about the logistics. Let's talk about immigration. 12 million people. I see them as assets, not liabilities. I need those people to work, to do the work that most people don't want to do.
Right.
I need those people to pay taxes.
Absolutely.
So we can start trying to pay that $19 trillion debt. Now, those 12 million people, assuming you want to deport them, it takes 52 people per bus, a Greyhound bus. That's 220,000 buses. Where are you going to get 200? And now, most of those people don't come from Mexico or Canada. They come from Chile, Argentina, India, Ethiopia. Okay. What are they going to do? They're going to have all these boats. I mean, all these buses swim through the Atlantic Ocean or through the Gulf of Mexico or through the Pacific Ocean. Folks, it will not work. Now, those 12 million people happens to have family. They're either married to Americans, right, they're married to, how do you call it? They have grandparents, they have children, they have grandchildren. Folks, we're talking not 12 million people. It affects 36 billion people living in the United States. Now, the only way we're going to solve this issue is through one issue and one issue only: job creation. We need to generate 32 million new jobs in the next 8 years. We need to grow the national product 4 to 5% a year, which is unheard of for a country of our size. But that's the only way we're going to be able to make a dent. $19 trillion. Guess what? That's more debt than all the countries in the world put together. We cannot saddle our children with that debt. When you take a look at for unfunded liabilities for Social Security, Medicare, in Obamacare, that's $500,000 for every man, woman, and child in America. Did you know you owe $500,000?
No idea.
How many children do you have?
1, 2, 3.
Okay, well that's $2 million.
Wow.
And I'm not counting. I'm not counting your wife, because that would be $2.5 million.
Crazy.
So whenever you want to, if Mr. Trump would care to debate me, I will debate him on the facts, on numbers in business, and how to run a country. If CNN or anybody would dare attack me or try to attack me, I do not need anybody. I can defend myself.
Right.
And I would love, and if Bernie would like to discuss, not debate, discuss how we can improve this country. How can we improve education? How can we improve Social Security? I'm positive that between his ideas and mine, between his team and mine, we can make a better America.
It definitely sounds like it. I think you and Bernie would make a good combination punch. I mean, a businessman, which is what people are looking at. They want outsiders. You are a consummate outsider. You're not a politician. So, I mean, that definitely fits the bill, Rocky.
I'm trying to move this thing because there's a huge light behind me. But,
yeah.
I'm going to stand up. Maybe it's a lot easier.
But no problem. But Rocky, like I said, I think Trump is just full of crap, Rocky. And but I understand your point that there are people listening who are damaged by that crap that he spews, and those people's concerns, those people's thoughts, their children, for God's sake, they got to listen to this garbage. So I understand your point. I do. Though I dismiss him, he is scary. The fact that he is running, but now he's pandering. He's moving to the left now. He's walked back the wall. He's walked back his statements about Muslims. Let
me ask you a question.
Go right ahead.
You have a cat. You have a jaguar. You have a cat. You cannot change the spots in that person.
Right.
You cannot change those spots. He has a mentality. Just look at the way he talks. He basically, the first thing that comes out of his mouth, he does not process it. Okay?
Just spews.
I mean, it's in the program he had where he says, "You're fired." The first thing, somebody made a mistake in his campaign. He was actually speaking. In the middle of that conversation, he says, he's fired. I mean, he will insult every single president. He will insult every single prime minister. He will insult every religious person out there, because he has no common sense.
He doesn't.
He doesn't have any respect.
Well, Rocky, what about the Democrats? What about Hillary? Hillary doesn't want to debate in California. What do you think about that?
Well, first of all, she doesn't want to debate because she'll lose.
Yeah, that's pretty simple, cut and dry. You're right. That is what it is. Okay. Definitely.
Now, let me tell you something that you're probably already aware, but some of the great Democrats, Joe Biden, Cuomo, they're not in the race. Why? Because Debbie Wasserman Schultz made sure they did not get in the race. They never thought that Bernie would get where he got.
That's true.
They thought that Bernie was basically easy sailing for Hillary. Now imagine if Bernie has created the damage he has created against Hillary. Imagine what somebody else would have done. She would have not made it past, how do you call it, New Hampshire. So you need to take a look at the transaction. She is not the person to lead us. What? Just tell me, and then I'm going to ask you a question, Tim. Tell me one thing she did while she was Secretary of State that you can think of. One.
Oh, do you want good things or bad things?
I'm talking about good ones.
Then I got nothing. I got nothing for you, Rocky.
No. I did not ask you to give me a list of the bad things.
Okay.
But to be honest with you, tell me one thing she did is when she was First Lady in Arkansas. Tell me what she did when she was the First Lady of the United States. But let me give you an. Did you know what I found the other day? Did you know that the governor of Arkansas happens to be an independent?
No idea.
Were you aware that 81% of the people in Arkansas today are registered as independent?
No idea. No.
It's the highest state in the union of people registered independent.
Wow.
Oklahoma happens to be the lowest.
Gotcha. That's interesting.
I love numbers.
Yeah, I see. My worst subject was math, but yeah, so I need somebody in my corner like you. What do you think about what's going on now? Do you think there will be a contested convention? You know,
let me tell you what I believe could happen. Okay, what I believe that could happen is as follows. I believe that if Hillary gets indicted, which there's a possibility, yes, or if she basically gets into this election fraud, which basically will start from Debbie Wasserman Schultz and about 50 people below her, Hillary will claim that she never heard anything about it. She'll claim that she had nothing to do with it.
Right.
But when 50 people, Debbie and other 49 people go to jail, maybe some of them will turn Hillary in. But I'm positive that she will claim that she never heard about it. And she had nothing to do with it, and this was beyond her, scope of responsibility. But at the same token, what I believe they'll try to do is they'll try to give it a broker convention, and they'll try to give it to Joe Biden. Now, at that moment, Bernie's people should be very upset. They should be very, very upset. Why? Because Bernie deserves the right more than Joe Biden. But Debbie Wasserman Schultz, by the way, I agree with Bernie that he should fire Debbie Wasserman Schultz as soon as possible. I hope we don't have to wait that long. I hope she resigns.
Right.
Okay. So I believe that what they'll try to do is they'll try to bring Joe Biden to be able to be, without ever going through any of the states or any of the campaigns. They're now wondering about it because now they're doing the polls and they're doing the numbers. Right. And they're knowing that if in Nevada, some of Bernie's persons happen to get a little bit upset because what they're doing is not election fraud, who is Debbie Wasserman Schultz to tell Bernie or to tell anybody that Bernie should control the American people? I mean, those people were 100% correct.
Right.
Okay. Now, I predict that they'll try to broker a convention and they'll try to elect
Joe Biden.
Joe Biden. The other thing that I hope Bernie will not accept, if he's offered the vice presidency, I hope he will not agree to serve as vice president for that queen. Okay, she basically because Bernie would help her, and that's not what we need. We need her to go to jail where she belongs.
I love it. I love it, Rocky. I love it, man. That's the type of fire that we need to hear. And I agree with you 100%. I've been saying that. She needs to, if Rocky, I wouldn't be able to run for student council president. I wouldn't be able to run for coach of the Little League basketball team if I had an open investigation from the FBI. And this woman gets to run for president? It's crazy,
Well,
Rocky.
But let me tell you what's happening. They have committed so much election fraud that once you start with one lie, you have to cover it with a second lie, with a third lie.
Yeah.
So the only hope that Hillary has is be able to do two things. One, if she gets elected, Debbie Wasserman Schultz basically and her cronies survive. The other hope that she has, which probably will happen, and that is Mr. Obama will probably pardon her before he leaves office. So she will never do jail because she will be pardoned by Mr. Obama. I do not believe that it's kosher for him to do so,
Right.
but I'm positive that that's what he's going to do. That's going to be the last thing he will do in office, no different than Gerald Ford did to pardon Nixon. Okay, so that will basically happen on that scenario. Now, there's another possibility that I do not know if maybe I'll save it for the next show, and I would love to talk to you on June 8th. June 8th is going to be a very historic event.
California.
No, California is one day earlier.
Okay, true. Got me.
Do you know what happens if no candidate gets to 270 electoral votes?
I thought they contested convention, right?
No. You're talking now about the Democrats. I'm now talking about November 8th.
Okay.
To be able to be elected president, the election is not in the Democrat convention or the Republican convention. The election is November 8th.
The general election.
That's when the real people vote.
Right.
To be able to be elected, California has 55 electoral votes. Okay. And it's and so does everybody else. I mean, every state has different things, but you need 270 to win. That's when George Bush happened to beat Gore in Florida, made the final decision because it was that contested. Well, what do you think happens if nobody reached 270 votes?
No idea.
The decision is up to Congress. They elect the next president of the United States. How do you like that one for some apples?
That's a scenario I hadn't considered, brother.
Well, guess brother, I like you calling me brother, but how do you call it now? You're going to be the first one to get to talk about that. But guess who they would pick today?
Wow. Congress.
The Speaker of the Speaker
of
the House.
Oh God, this guy. Oh God.
Well, I'd rather have him than Trump.
Paul Ryan?
Yep.
I think Paul Ryan's a bigot. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's a different issue. Okay, the question is who would you rather have? Paul or Donald?
I don't know. A pack of Velveeta cheese, please. Anything else? That all the options I have, Rocky?
Well, guess what? There is a long shot. Rocky 2016. There's a long shot.
Well, there you go. I'd rather ride with the long shot. I'm used to long shots.
Well, you and I are long shots.
That's it, man. That's it. That's the way I go, man. That's it. Wow, Rocky, look, man, I just want to say, this was I loved having you on. This was a great interview. You're full of a lot of great information, and I wish you the best, and I'm looking forward to being able to bring you back on the show, definitely.
I would love to. Maybe we can do it live so we don't have to worry about all this technology.
There you go. Just let me know when you're coming to D.C. Or you can look.
Actually,
go ahead.
DC, did you know what happened in D.C. to me?
No. Oh, did they knock you off the ballot like they did Bernie?
No, I was the only one that qualified in D.C. I was the only one that followed all the rules. I was the one that got there on time. I'm the one that gave my money. I made sure it happened and everything else. Hillary did not qualify. Wow. And then she did not qualify. So technically, D.C. could only have voted for one person and one person only. And that's me.
Rocky.
Then they changed the rules, and they basically said they were going to allow Bernie and Hillary back on. Now, of course, that's how they play the rules. But don't worry, you and I know that when we have to play whatever game, if they want us to run 100 meters, we have to do it with an extra 20. Well, let me ask you a question. You know how I feel? I feel like Jesse Owens. You know the Jesse Owens stories, right?
I know a lot of, yeah. I know several stories about him, yes.
Well, you're aware of how he was able to win gold medals for the United States and Germany.
Don't let it be close, baby.
Well, guess what? I'm very proud of what he was able to accomplish in Germany. And I'm very proud that he, under any and all odds, he managed to survive in Germany.
That's right.
And that's you and that's me. We're the long shots. But guess what? Long shots do come in.
Do come in. I love that spirit, Rocky. Look, guys, make sure you follow Rocky. Go to Rocky2016.com. You'll find all his contact information there. Do what I did. Follow him on Facebook. Follow him on Twitter. And yes, we'll have Rocky back, guys. Thank you so much. I'm sorry for the late broadcast, but this video will be up on the internet on my channel, Rocky. We'll share it like crazy, so don't you worry about that.
We'll do the same thing on my Facebook and on my Twitter. And if you happen to have people from other countries that don't speak English watching it, don't worry, we'll translate it.
Love it. I love it. That's why you got that high AAA rating, right?
That's correct. That's basically hiring a lot of minorities and a lot of long shots.
Love it, man. Love it. All right, now, guys, that's it for the Tim Black at Night show. Extended footage with my friend Rocky De La Fuente, the Democratic candidate who's been robbed. But you know what? He's going to keep fighting all the way to the end. I know that. All right, guys. That's it.
Mr. Black, it was a pleasure.
You got it, man. Pleasure's all mine, brother. Thank you.